Hi, good evening. I'm Lamusa and welcome to my channel. So today I'll be going over a ComPTIA A plus certification and the resources that I use along with what are some of the lessons that I learned along the way. So the process for this certification for me started late June this year. So late June I started prepping for these exams, and by the time I finish it, I've used various resources along the way. So I'll go over them one by one. So the first resource that I used to prep for the exam was the school resource itself, was a government university. The class that comes with this certification is called D316 essentially. And what they have is that after you finish the course, to show that you have enough understanding or the proficiency that is required to pass this class, that you obtain them, and that you're able to show that you can pass a core 2 of the ComPTIA A plus certification. As you are probably aware, this certification has two parts, core 1 and core 2 respectively. And I kind of took them in the reverse order just because of the way the school recommended and the way that everything came about. So first, I used the school resource to prep for this exam. Right toward the end, when I was about to finish this class, they sent me the additional learning resources, and they recommended me Jason Dion's courses on Udemy, and there was two parts to it. One of them was the course plus a 2 practice exam. The other one was just 6 practice exam, which is the one that they highly recommend to make sure that you are taking that one, passing it really well prior to going to the exam. That way you know that the stuff you learn, they are really kicked in essentially, right? That you are very proficient in the material. And those practice exam, if you were to get 80% or higher, which is the recommended passing grade for each one, it's enough to show that you understood this material, right? So the first part of this course from Jason Dion took it. I didn't finish it because leading toward the end of it, I realized that a lot of the material that I was seeing, I was able to fully recognize them, and I felt like it didn't serve me well to keep going. So what I did essentially is jump to just the 6 practice exam, right? So took all of them, passed them. With the 80% recommendation, I was getting well over the 80%. So I was feeling good about the exam. So prior to July 21st, when I took the exam, after I finished that section, right, I decided that I was going to use another additional learning resource, right? By the way, if you're someone who's learning IT stuff in the beginning, it's highly recommend prior to taking a lot of exam, give yourself as many resources as possible. I would say that it doesn't even matter if these things are paid or free material, as long as you have the chance to get additional resources, use them. I highly recommend it. Everyone that I know is like being in the IT field for a very long time, or talk to or listen to, or recommend giving yourself as many resources as possible. So once I finished those practice exams, those 6, and I passed them really well, I decided that I was going to use Professor Mess's YouTube channel playlist for the core 2 specifically, and kind of listen to it whenever I'm on break from work, to listen to a little bit to kind of keep me going, right? And toward the end, when I finished with that one as well, then I went in ahead and used Percipio. If you don't know what Percipio is, essentially what it is, it's a learning platform for military and service member, right? And over there, they have an official practice exam for the core 2 as well. So what I did is took the practice exam over there as well. I took it twice. I did really well on it, so I was feeling good about the exam. So fast forward 2 days before the practice exam, before the exam itself, I kind of went over all the quizzes that I took to see where I was weak, and then took a note of those ones, and then went back and review essentially. So took the exam, passed it. So I was really feeling good about myself, and from there I went ahead and scheduled the core 1 right away, which would allow me to have the certification, right? Because before you pass the A plus, you need to pass both core 1 and core 2. I took core 2, passed that one, and now it's time for core 1. So I scheduled that one for September 12th, and pretty much I did the same thing that I did for the core 2. Use the school resources first, then went on Udemy, used the additional learning resource that they recommend. Practice exam, the same thing. no issue there. Do all 6 of them from Jason Dion, passed them all of them with 80% or higher, and I was feeling really great. And then for the YouTube section, which is something I've been doing for Professor Messer's courses on YouTube, I went ahead and kind of listened to all these study section on Core 1, right? And same thing, I went to Percipio, took a couple of practice exams, did okay on those one, and I was feeling really great. So I went to the exam on September 12th and failed the Core 1. So when I failed Core 1, I was really hard on myself because I thought that following the venue that I was going to, based on how I prepped for the exam, I was feeling really great about myself, but I came a little bit, just a tiny bit short on that exam. So I decided that I was not gonna essentially stop there, and I was not gonna take too long to schedule the exam. So right after, I scheduled the Core 1 again, October 7th, and then start studying again, just like as I would, as if I haven't taken the exam yet. So what I did everything I did before, essentially, right? School material, Jason Dion's course plus the exam, and then Professor Messer YouTube videos along with Percipio. But then, because when I got my report from my previous failed exam, there was a particular sections that I did not do that well. And what I did from there is not only go to Professor Messer and bought the practice exam, but I bought the practice exam that come with the course note as well. If you're not sure what the course note is for the, Professor Messer, what it is essentially is taking the exam objective of the ComPTIA A+ and kind of break down based on the way it is formatted on the ComPTIA A+, and break each one down with a further explanation of what that is. So if you're someone who already studied for it, when you're going over it, you're going to be able to quickly see if you have a misunderstanding or not. And that was really, really, really useful. So then went to Percipio, did the same thing I did before, take a practice exam, right? Did well on them. But then a few days before the exam this time, what I did differently is that I went ahead and pick vocabularies from any section that I had to retake a practice exam because I did not do as well on it as I thought I would be, and put it on an Anki deck. If you don't know what Anki deck is, it is a learning platform, right? It's just like essentially like Quizlet, but this one is an adapted Quizlet, right? So for example, if you were taking a quiz on it, and you can set it up based on the way the question will show up based on the way you answer them. So I thought that was really, really useful. And what I learned from this is that the old IT saying that you always have to surround yourself with as many resources as possible is true, right? So what I would have done differently if I'm taking a certification that is especially big and has a lot of material, I'm not going to allow myself to kind of neglect some of the way just because I'm feeling really, really confident, because that's what happened to me essentially, because I was feeling really, really good prior to the exam for that Core 1, didn't do well on it, and then from there I had essentially certain doubts, right? Because it's hard to really know when you are 100% ready, and that's hard to know, right? But after taking the exam, it kind of gives you a way to kind of judge it differently. So yeah, so never neglect additional resources if you have the means to obtain them. It'll give you a big edge leading up to the certification exam, and it's really useful. And the last thing you want to do is to have to spend money to retake the exam anyway, so avoid that if you can. Thank you for passing by. If you have any recommendation for me of how I can deal with any certification in the future, please let me know in the comment section, as I would be taking more certification in the future. So please leave a comment below. Thank you for coming by, and take care.